Good afternoon, I'm Kevin Barry. This is your NCC News Break. Hundreds of Central New Yorkers will soon be out of a job. This after the Senate voted to eliminate funding for a missile defense project. The Senate unanimously approved the National Defense Authorization Act that cuts nearly $400 million for the Medium Extended Air Defense System. Lockheed Martin took part in the project that supported 235 jobs at its Electronics Park site in Salina. New York Senator Chuck Schumer is in Syracuse today talking about tax breaks for employers who hire veterans. The Returning Heroes and Wounded Warriors tax credits gives almost $10,000 to businesses for each vet they take on. Crouse Hospital was one of the senator's prime examples. They've hired nearly 100 veterans under the program. 39 people are in custody after an investigation into 3 large-scale drug distribution networks. The drug rings moved cocaine from New York City and Buffalo to Syracuse, Cortland, and Watertown. Many of the people arrested are from Central New York, including 14 from the Salt City. Police seized more than $1 million worth of cocaine during raids earlier this morning. The suspects face charges that include operating as a major trafficker. That's a felony, punishable by life in prison. Just one day after a Taliban attack on the vehicle taking her to school, activist and blogger Malala Yousafzai is recovering, and doctors say she'll survive. They removed a bullet from her neck after 3 hours of surgery and said that her condition was no longer critical. And a top security official for the State Department in Libya asked for more security at the American consulate in Benghazi leading up to the September 11th attack this year. That news came before congressional hearings today that looked into the claims that U.S. security personnel numbers were kept artificially low to maintain a feeling of normalcy. Immediately after the attack, there were thoughts that the violence was a reaction to an anti-Islam video made in California. Citigroup's new CEO isn't wasting any time or money since being named the bank's new leader. Citigroup is cutting 11,000 jobs in order to trim costs. The bank is also making other major changes, enough to save $900 million next year and more than $1 billion annually. Beginning a year later, Citigroup also plans to cut bonuses up to 10%. Other bankers say this trend of downsizing on Wall Street is likely to continue. Republicans are still trying to find a compromise with the looming fiscal cliff. President Obama told Republicans earlier today he will not allow the dispute of taxes to affect the necessary raising of the debt ceiling next year. There are just 27 days left before the fiscal cliff takes effect. Rescue crews are still working to overcome washed-out roads and search for missing people after a typhoon ripped through the Philippines last night. Tens of thousands of people are still homeless after Typhoon Bofa slammed parts of southern islands. Heavy rains, winds up to 110 miles per hour, wiped out several mountain villages and killed at least 274 people. More than 300 are still missing. Well, Halloween is just a few weeks away, so Half Moon Bay, California hosted a giant pumpkin contest.
That they did, Kevin. And how big was the winning pumpkin? How about 1,775 pounds?
That's a lot of pumpkin pie. And 45-year-old Thad Starr from Oregon grew the winning pumpkin. It's actually the 3rd time he's won the Half Moon Bay contest, and his prize is a hefty one as well, more than $10,000.
And Kevin Barry is checking in with local voters at Nisby's Pub in Syracuse. Kevin.
Bill, welcome to Upstairs at Nisby's Pub. This is where Syracuse Mayor Stephanie Miner will be hosting her presidential debate watch party on that television behind me right there. And it's going to be a largely Democratic crowd. The watch party is sponsored by her Promise PAC, which means that most of the people who attend are already going to vote Democrat all the way down the ticket. But what we found out from the people we talked to today is that's not necessarily different for the rest of the voting population. For most people, they already know who they're going to vote for.
By this point in the election, I mean, if you look at the polls, about 94 to 96% of people already know who they're going to vote for.
Why go through the trouble? Well, even if votes aren't on the line, that doesn't mean the watch parties don't serve a valuable purpose.
Well, I think it's really important to build a sense of community. These things, they're probably not going to change anyone's mind in terms of, the people going to the watch party are probably going to vote for Obama anyway. They're probably going to be voting for all the Democrats all the way down. But I think it's important to build a sense of community.
Which can become quite the force to rally support for candidates. With younger voters, it can start with just putting names to faces.
It doesn't necessarily need to be the big names. Even, it doesn't even need to be the mayor or a city councilman or something like that. But even just a staff member or a local activist. It's really important to build those connections. But also, I think some stuff like that can help motivate people to, go knock on those doors and make those phone calls, especially in election season.
As for the festivities tonight, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, you can always enjoy the food.
So the Pizza and Wings up there, I think it's just an event, a get-together for them. This isn't a group that's going to be swayed, in my opinion.